You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in sunny Northport, Florida. We've got a frigid day today, hitting the upper 60s. We're looking to have a great rest of the week, though. I did look at the forecast, and things are looking up as far as the weather is concerned. So I wanted to have a general conversation today. There is a lot of things happening in Northport. We've got Welland Park that's growing like crazy. We've got the repaving happening or soon to be happening on Toledo Blade. We've got some rezoning issues in Northport. We've got the Warm Meadow Springs project kind of in a disarray. Of course, it's been that way since we've owned it. So what's changing now? So we've also got Price Boulevard, and what's going to happen there and how soon. And I've got some really special guests coming up in the very, very near future with the city manager and also the city commissioners. And we are really trying to designate our shows around critical information to conquer the misinformation that's out there. So I'm gonna step back for a second, and I read a few things out there on some social media posts, and they were concerning the level of the canals today, and so that we can correct some misinformation out there. Our canals are at the level they're supposed to be at for this time of year, and they're not draining those canals because we're not getting a lot of rain. And that's also the drinking water and different things that we have to control, along with the environment. We have to control the environment and keep the fish and wildlife in a safe position there too. A lot of people don't really understand that fish and wildlife, even when we had the hurricane coming, there was a huge problem with with draining all of the water out of the canals, because we also had to take into consideration the wildlife that was within the canals when we drained those canals in preparation for that storm. So looking out through your canal, if you are blessed to have that visual, or a lake or a pond, if you're looking at that right now and you think, oh my gosh, we're going to flood this year because it's too high, it's supposed to be that way. We're not in rainy season. It will transition. The city does lower them as need be. Uh, Ian was just a different beast. You've got weeks of saturation prior to that storm, and then the complete storm going over top of us, and then moving northward, and all that water that went north and all that rain that went north travels south to us. So we kind of got the double whammy on that. We got the first initial blow, and then we took the water that got transferred from up north through the canal systems up north right into our situation here, which made our city reservoir. I'll say it. We were a reservoir as a city. But if you go back and you do your research and you look at what Northport was 100 years ago, it was a floodplain. Um, Gee, it's Florida. Most of Florida was. So take into consideration that when you're paying attention, thank God you're paying attention, and you're at least putting information out there that you are watching, and your education has got to catch up with what happened with Ian. And the educational side of it is we have a city that prepares our canals the best there that they can for those types of storms. But there are some regulations that they had to play in there too. They also had the City Works uh, festival this weekend, which was attended by many, and they had the amphibious vehicles out there. And I got to tell you, we are one of the few cities up and down the coast that has the vehicles, because we are one of the few in America that has this many canals. So we are not only taking care of our canals, but we're trying to maintain everything about them, along with any debris that goes in. So we've got the Northport app, Northport Report app, North Report. Got to get that out the right way. North Report app. If you see anything in the canals that need to be attended to, you see anything in the roadways, potholes, and so forth, get that information into the city via the the app itself. You will actually get a response back, and things will happen very quickly if you're a participant in making your city a better place. Um, Also, if you want something in this city, and I've had this conversation in depth on this show, so hopefully you will share this information and get it out. Um, Educational piece for those who like to take the I'm going to do the shotgun approach to get what I want. Uh, in all reality, it doesn't work. The shotgun approach is a horrible, horrible way of thinking you're going to prevent anything from happening. But specifically, you can deter some things with specifics. So target what you are wanting to stop. Target what you are wanting to grow. Target what target what you want your city to be, and then find like-minded people. Whether you like those people on other topics or not doesn't matter. If you're like-minded on the certain topics that you are, partner up. Uh, we have got a government right now that sucks when it comes down to not our city government, but our federal government. This BS that they serve back and forth, that they always want to point the finger. Stop. Don't do it on the local level. You can make a huge impact on the local level if you target exactly what you need, what you want, and what do you want to change. And then find like-minded people to do that. On the federal level, it's almost a waste of your time because they're not listening to you anyway. But on the local level, if you've got a group of people and you're going to City Hall, you're going to make an impact. The people that go to City Hall, by the way, and I've been on both sides of the fence with them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what they don't understand is that no matter what I say or how I feel, I appreciate the fact that they're going to City Hall to march for what they want. The rest of you people who never have been to City Hall, who bellyache and moan and groan and misinterpret Facebook post for success, need to change your attitude. You need to get involved at whatever level you need to get involved. There's a lot of groups, a lot of organizations out there that are tremendous at getting information out, and they want you to participate. They need your insight, they need your input. There's petitions that happen, there's all kinds of things that happen to change the environment of this city. Let's talk about Toledo Blade and Price. The people that lived along Price interjected and got some things changed for what their road is going to look like. That 4-lane road, we've been waiting on it for a long time. That 4-lane road is coming. But they were very targeted on what they were asking for. As long as you're targeted on what you're asking for, you can accomplish things. They did not go at it with the shotgun approach that said, we're going to go ahead and stop Toledo or Price Boulevard from being put in, because it isn't going to happen. It's coming. Things, we've got a commissioner who actually went at Dollar General, Debbie McDowell, and she got that changed because it softened the blow to the community as a whole. It didn't stop it from coming. It just changed how it went in. So there was a victory on both sides of that, but that is what working within the limitation of growth and moderate impact has to do with everything we're talking about right now when it comes to the changes that are going to happen up and down our city from Welland Park all the way to Yorkshire when the Yorkshire exit goes in. I saw another post that people talked about the hospital and not wanting it. Okay, it's going to happen. It's coming. That is without question. We're at 90,000 plus people in Northport right now. And being at 90,000 people in Northport, the minute we hit 100,000, the bells are going to go off in a lot of corporate offices that we're now not just a growing city. We're at 100,000. And the, the last 20,000 didn't take us as long to get to hit 100,000 as it took to get to 20,000. 2000, year 2000, we were at 20,000. 80,000 people now. 60 plus years old city. Think about that. It equates out. It equates out at a different time frame across the board. There's also a lot of changes happening with the rezoning and your involvement and how you get involved and what you want to do to get involved. I'm hoping that somebody wants to join in. I'm more than happy to send you a link. If anyone wants to have an open dialogue right now, feel free to message me 941-391-4663 and I'll send you a link to the show. You can be live on the show right now and we'll have an open discussion. I'm hoping some of these topics though intrigue people to get involved, intrigue people to respond. If you don't do it now, it's going to be too late for a lot of topics that we're talking about today. I want to kind of go over an overview of it was a plan that was put together and Peter Bartolotta had sent it in and I had never seen it. And, there's some really cool things to talk about within the scope of Northport as a whole and where it's going and what it's supposed to be. You've heard us on this show talk about Vision Northport. We've got Northport Forward. They're two different organizations, two different mindsets. Northport Forward is a huge participant of getting information in the hands of the citizens of Northport. Back in the day, Vision Northport was, what do you want our city to be? What do you want it to look like? Where do you want it to go? Well, that roadmap was set out back then. And a lot of those things are happening today. And a lot of those things are happening different than we had envisioned them. But we were participants along the way of the roadmap. And the evidence of what I was saying was Vision Northport. Whether we instigated ideas of change or not, we instigated ideas. And those ideas were grabbed a hold of and ran with. Hence Cocoa Plum. It doesn't look like it was supposed to, but it's still one of the most successful features of Northport right now. And all you have to do is ask the citizens or the upper echelon of Port Charlotte. They don't like the fact that Port Charlotte citizens come to Cocoa Plum to shop. They have been taking advantage of our money for a long time south of us because they had all the shopping. They had everything they needed. And so things do change. Things migrate at a different clip. And I by chance I had Peter Bartolotta join in, so I'm going to pull him on screen. Peter, how you doing, buddy?
Good afternoon, John. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show or not. I hope you
No,
did.
I didn't. I just got in from doing some yard work. So
Awesome. Well, I had the opportunity to kind of walk people through a little bit of the tail end of what Vision Northport is and what Northport Forward does, and trying to highlight that back in the day, Vision Northport was truly setting a roadmap out for what the vision was in the city and what the citizens wanted. And, whether we liked the outcome of some of those ideas or not, or how they were implemented, we were instrumental in a lot of those things being part of the fabric of what we've got today. And
true.
We don't really have a group like that anymore. We have a lot of people that are all over social media, a lot of people giving their thoughts and ideas, and a lot of people, I consider it the shotgun approach. I want to stop everything. Well, stopping everything is not going to be effective. You're going to fail at everything if you take a shotgun approach. My mindset was that if you get involved and you target specific changes that you want within your community, and I use Dollar General as an example. When Debbie McDowell had that changed, it didn't stop it. It did change it, but it didn't stop it. We are rolling. We're like a rolling thunder right now in this city. And we've got open space for building. We've got changes coming. And I don't know that I've ever seen a time, and you've been here longer than I have, where the change is coming at a much faster pace than ever before. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, and yes, I feel that way. Northport is changing. It's changing fast. 1 minute it's got the housing is going through the roof. The next minute housing is declining. 1 minute we have talk about West Villages. The next minute we've got one of the most explosive growth communities out there. And what I pride Vision Northport about is it really was an organization that fostered communication. And that's all it did.
Right.
A lot of people think these are my ideas. I don't think I have one idea that came out of this. I was kind of the guy that maybe organized, put some structure to it.
Mm-hmm.
My kids will tell you I structure everything. We're going to have a get together. Next thing you know, Dad takes out his list and starts putting together, who does what and whatever. So that's kind of in my DNA. But these ideas all came from the residents. And I see you've got up here the Toledo Blade Entertainment District. That came about with Vision Northport in a discussion about the need for something to do in town. And a lot of people talk about the downtowns. We had one of the leading developers in the area. In fact, they still are, I think, the biggest developer privately owned in the United States. And they said the downtown areas do not work unless you have a significant urban population. So you need a lot of people within a fairly concentrated area that will frequent the downtown business establishments. And I don't know if you remember back in the day when, what is it out on just off Sarasota and Manatee County, Lakewood Ranch.
Lakewood Ranch, yep.
I would go down there maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks, and we'd kind of walk around the downtown. And every time I went, the stores had changed. They couldn't hold on to tenants. There was no foot traffic to speak of. there was not a lot going on. So it verified in my mind that you need that high urban population center. But then something interesting happened. You remember this. We got approached by the rowing group that was putting Bendison Park together, that rowing facility, and where the people who were competing in rowing contests and ultimately going on to Olympics, turns out that Bendison Park had a lake that was perfect for this, and they built a rowing facility there that attracted people from all over. Coincidental with that, you had the growth of the sports complex, the school. Was it IMG, is it?
Yes.
Out in Lakewood Ranch. Well, what that did is it brought people in from all over the world. And they would come in, they stay in a hotel, and they wanted to do something. So they all of a sudden the restaurants were growing, the downtown areas were flourishing, not because of the people that lived there at the time, but because of the influx of population. So that got us talking about, why can't we create a regional entertainment district? And we started doing that with the private Northport EDC. That was one of the areas that we thought would be an area that would take off. And a brilliant young artist by the name of Ron Sanders got involved in Vision Northport. And he heard about what we were trying to do. And he single-handedly created the document that you're showing people here. Keep in mind, this guy is an artist, a brilliant artist. He's been hired by the Treasury Department. He's done coins. What do they call that? He created the artistic look for coins. He paints that you'd swear you're looking at a photograph. Look him up online. His name is Ron Sanders. I think he has since left Northport. And this guy took this plan and went all over the city of Northport, met with all the leadership, all the department heads, trying to get somebody to take a look at this project. And the project we were looking at was at the 100 acres behind the Toledo Price Boulevard, the shopping center over there where you got Kyle Curtis, the Rock Box, Pink Tequila. Behind that is 100 acres with a major water element to it, a lake. And that's what Ron based his drawings on. And if you look at the drawings, I mean, he's got things in there, everything from miniature golf to hotels to rowing on the lake to resorts. I mean, just amazing. A place where you would go and spend the evening with your family and spend money. There he is. There's Ron. The man is amazing. He is one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And he did a bunch of work for us on renderings for some of the things that Vision Northport was putting together. And I think this what he calls the Toledo Blade Center there, I mean, it should be named the Ron Sanders Center. I mean, he is so instrumental in this, and he put so much detail into it. I mean, literally got the square footage in, can tell you the size of the buildings, just brilliant. And the idea would be people would come from Tampa to Naples, get off the interstate at Toledo Blade, drive down to Price Boulevard, park their car, spend money, go home. And that creates a huge tax base for the city. And it creates jobs. It creates a thriving downtown that the residents of the city can benefit from at the cost of the tourists, if you will. So I got behind this. I thought it was a great program. We never got any leverage on it. It was a piece of property that was divided into 5 or 6 different parcels. It was put together by Frank Menke, back in the day. And when they were designing the whole Toledo Blade area. So the ownership of it was kind of wacky. And I thought that was a good idea because nothing will get done. It'll stay. We'll hold on to nothing happening there. until the time was right. And then I find out the city is looking at that property now and putting in some retail, which to me says, another shop, and it'll be another food store, whatever, Dollar General, mattress store, whatever it goes into a shopping center there. They're going to put some light industrial, and they're going to put some mixed use, which would be retail. Supposedly, the concept could be retail on the ground floor and residential on the top floor, which is what Lakewood Ranch was based on. And that failed because there wasn't enough there to make it work for the retailers. What happened is when Lakewood Ranch, just go back for a minute, when all that influx of tourism came in, it took off like crazy. Now you don't see a flip of tenants there anymore. They're there all the time. The population of Lakewood Ranch grew while this was happening. And I think today Lakewood Ranch can support those downtown segments, but they couldn't in the beginning. You follow me? So
Yep.
it kind of gave them a bridge to where now it can be supported. I think the day will come when Northport will support a downtown, the likes of which, we've never seen. And to get there, we can use the need for a regional entertainment district where there could be nightclubs, entertainment, people coming in and enjoying, that aspect of the city and spending money and then leaving. So,
and if we don't develop that, here's the thing, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, because while we can sit here and say we need it, we've actually operated without it, but we also didn't have the numbers of people that we're getting today. We're over 90,000 people. When we didn't have these things, we were at 20,000 people.
Yeah,
we didn't have to, because nobody was going to bring it to begin with.
But the 90,000 people are spread over 104 square miles. You need an urban. You need the impact. You need a concentration, like the city of Sarasota, downtown Venice. Okay, the city of Venice. That's what you need to build up to build that up. And the downtown Venice, I think, survives because people come from outside of Venice to shop there. It's not the population of Venice. They don't have enough people there. I think Sarasota probably does because they've got a lot of high rise and concentrations of people that have money to spend. So you can say we're 90,000, but we're still spread over 104 square miles. And you've been on the tour. It takes an hour and a half to do a quick tour of the city of Northport. A quick tour where you never get out of the car. So okay, show me another city that I can show you an hour and a half of just driving in your car. You're done in 20 minutes.
I'm going to go back though, because when we were doing those tours and when they do them today, okay, how many times did you have to just stop and let people realize how big we actually were and what we had potential to be?
That's a great question. I always got two responses. I could guarantee these responses from anyone I took on that tour. And I took everybody from people thinking of moving to Northport, to residents of Northport, to government leaders, to business leaders, you name it, I've had them in the car. I was probably doing on average 10 tours a month. Okay, back in the heyday. I always got two responses. One was, wow. I never understood Northport until this tour.
Right.
And the second response was, are we still in Northport? It was like they were in it for so long. They thought, when am I getting out of this? And I would show them, here's War Mineral Springs, here's the West Villages. And back then, West Villages was woods. I just took them up to River Road. No, I'm sorry. I took them out to the entrance. where the
Right.
sign is for entering Northport, and you had Grand Paradiso, and that was it. But and I would say this is where Northport begins, and then I would take them all the way across down into Port Charlotte, showing where it ended. So I always got those two responses. It's hard to get an appreciation. You live in a house, you live in a neighborhood, you get to know your neighborhood, but you don't realize how big this city is.
Well, what year? And I'm doing this not because I don't know, but the year that we did the tours, what year was that?
Oh my God, it's going back to, you got 2010 demographics. I would say I probably started those tours in 2000. I'm going to say 6, 7.
Yeah. So
early. I mean, early.
Now,
Population was
wait a minute.
25,000.
Think about this. That's perspective. That is 100% perspective on what Northport couldn't stop from coming. Look at Welland Park today. Welland Park today is the example of why you're going to get run over like a locomotive. Yep. If you take a shotgun approach to, I'm going to stop it and I'm going to throw a temper tantrum until I get what I want. Well, you're just going to throw a temper tantrum and everybody's going to get used to you throwing a temper tantrum and you're not going to stop it. They couldn't have stopped Welland Park if they wanted to stop it.
There is one way you can stop it. Okay, make Northport the only city in the United States of America that does not honor property owners' rights. Okay. And go for that legislation. Good luck getting it passed. But as long as you have property owners that can do whatever they want with that property, as long as it's within code. And we're what, 60,000 lots?
Yeah.
Do the math. 60,000 times 4 people to a home. That's 250,000 people. It's not rocket science. We don't have enough commercial. We keep losing our land, and we put in projects that aren't major tax generators. We just lost War Mineral Springs. The developer pulled out. He says it's because of insurance rates in Florida and the difficulty in manpower, but I don't know. I mean, you should have known that when you went into it. But I think what happens is, what I think the city needs to do is put down on a piece of paper what they want it to look like. Take that 100 acres and do what Ron Sanders did. I'm not saying that's the perfect plan, but it's a plan. But put on that piece of paper, because it's funny, when you put something down on a piece of paper, all of a sudden it looks different than what it does in your mind. So define what you want and then take that to somebody and get somebody to build it. And the way you do that is you create, for lack of a better word, a sales piece, and you market it.
Well,
we don't do that.
You're not wrong, because if you let's just take Ron's example. If you didn't call it a plan and you just said it's an example of what we could have, I wonder what Vision Northport would have done. I already know, because we sat in that room and developed these things. And it was more of a think tank of what we wanted, what we saw, what we felt we needed as a city, what we wanted to be, what we wanted to be represented as. I mean, if you really break this down, what is it that we have in Northport? I mean, we don't have a beachfront. We don't have really waterways out. We do have waterways, but they're not out. So our definition of what we are going to be in the grand experience of Florida, and it truly is, because I live in the hub, the best hub that anybody could live in Northport, because I can go to Punta Gorda in 15, 20 minutes. and be at water. I can go to Inglewood in 15, 20 minutes, be in water. I can go to Venice, 15, 20 minutes, be in water. I I literally am I have like, and that's why I love Northport so much, is that it is this hub of escape to different spots and in a very short period of time. But the anchor of what we are and who we are, we haven't even defined that yet.
No, and I've been talking this for the better part of 20 years. And for those of for I my concern for Northport always was, if we don't create an alternative tax base, the tax burden is going to fall on the residents' shoulders. Taxes are going to go up and home values are going to decrease. Guess what's happening?
Well,
My property from 2022 to today dropped 80 grand
yeah,
in value. Now, is it more than it was when I bought it? Yes, but my equity dropped. Okay, so and now it's happening all across the state, but I think it's happening faster in Northport, and maybe that's because we were one of the. I think they rated us as the 12th overpriced community in the United States. And when you're overpriced, maybe part of that logic comes back and says, what's there to do in Northport?
we've
Why
had
would I spend that much for a home when there's nothing to do? Now, Welland Park has a lot to do. Welland Park, I mean, it is being marketed brilliantly. But the rest of the city,
that's the example, though. That's what frustrates me so much, is that the truth of the matter is the Welland Park wants more. They don't have enough now, and they've got more than we ever had when we were the city of Northport. When you look at it through, I've been here since 2020, and I had one Publix, one Winn-Dixie, and one McDonald's and one Wendy's on 41. We didn't have anything else. And so we didn't have all those things. And yet they go into Welland Park. They've got Atlanta Braves baseball. They've got Publix. They've got all these things. They've got BJ's coming. Holy cow, BJ's in Northport?
Well, the argument that can be run on that.
It is. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the argument on that is you've got a developer that developed that 15,000, 10,000 acres. So there was a master vision plan for a developer, and it was financially driven, which it always is. So they built a first-class community and one of the top growing communities in the United States. The show me the vision. When I first talked to developers at Welland Park back in the early days, they had pictures of what it was going to be. When you talk to the city, their master plan is the comp plan, which is code. Code should support your vision, not the other way around. And I've said this a gazillion times on your show. I still don't know where that plan is. We've got 100 acres. What are we going to do with that? What is it that the city wants to put there? They got an opportunity to build a downtown. The only way the only way a downtown will work is you have to have enough population to support it. The lesson, if there is one, we should take is from Lakewood Ranch. They imported the population until they had enough in population to support it. And they did that through sports. So they were getting thousands of people every weekend would come in. I mean, thousands. You remember those days.
I do.
And
still happening today, by the way.
I know. So what are we doing on that? What instead we get told what we can't do. I don't know if staff has ever visioned anything. War Mineral Springs It's back in the hands of the park. And now they're going to develop the other 60 adjoining acres. Now, if you're going to develop that acreage, think about this. That's 60 acres. It's 80 acres total. 20 of it is the spring itself. And the city is going to build the welcome center and the bathrooms. So now if you were a developer that would put something in there that would generate commercial revenues and taxes for the city, it has to be dependent upon the spring, right? Because why else would you build a commercial entity there? It's a residential neighborhood. Yep. So what are you going to build there? What sense does it make? If you build a commercial center that attracts shoppers and it becomes like a shopping mecca, you don't have the roadway to support that. There's not enough roads getting in and out of there.
No.
That's why they wanted to put a what do you call it? A music setup where they can have concerts. Can you imagine 200-300 people coming in 100 cars, all getting in and out within an hour of the concert? It'd be a nightmare. So that's why we looked at a boutique resort, because you come in, you park your car, and you stay there for a week and spend money. So you generate it from a resort, not a hotel, because hotels people stay at and go somewhere else. So I don't know where you're going to find a developer who's going to develop something that supports the springs when the city is in charge of the springs, and what kind of a guarantee you're going to give them that you don't destroy the spring. Or what happens if alligators get in like it does and you have to shut it down? His business is impacted by that. I don't think you're going to find a developer who's going to partner with a city that hasn't demonstrated their ability to run something and to run it profitably.
Well, and I'm cautiously going to throw this at you because I already know the answers that people don't like to face, but we've heard over and over again repeatedly that leave it alone because it's profitable as it is. That is such a misstatement. It's not.
I will accept, John, I'll accept that when they give the city back the $5.75 million that they spent buying it.
Well, that would make it profitable.
Yeah. Then you can say the money you're generating is above the expense line, but you never pay. It's like buying a house, mowing the lawn, making sure your shrubs are done, but not paying the bank and saying, I'm profitable.
Right.
Well, yeah, but you still owe the bank $5.5 million. Yeah, but we don't count that. That's not real.
that there again is frustration, because you can claim anything you want as long as you don't talk about the total truth of the project. I mean, Listen, Walmart, if they didn't have to count their bottom line, which is building their building and putting all the infrastructure in, they would have made a lot more money too.
Yeah, they amortize that
But
over time.
nobody in business, and I had this conversation, and they're like, yeah, but we already bought it. Okay, it has nothing to do with whether you bought it or not. It has everything to do with you already paid for it, and you're not trying to even recoup a dime of what you spent on the project, but you want to spend more. Yeah. And by the way, that's all tax dollars. There's no real true revenue that you could truthfully, there's only one revenue stream from public workers, and that's the police department. Unfortunately, that's the label they have, but every city knows, every community knows that. So I'm not knocking them. Our police force does a great job, but we have to, there's some times where you just have to have a reality check. And, I've heard the statement, we've kicked it down the road. Hell yeah, we've kicked stuff down the road. It's because everybody walked through, I don't want to make anybody mad and I want to keep my little job. Well, maybe you got to take a stance every once in a while and not get elected or reelected, but tell everybody the right things and stand up for something.
Well, you got three commissioners up for reelection this year. Well, two, and Debbie McDowell is term limited out, so her seat is open. But there's three seats that are
Right.
open. If you like
And that's
where we're
it.
going, keep it alive, keep it going. If you don't like where we're going, get new people in there.
Well, and
That's your,
that is the whole key. And I said this the other night. I said everybody's approach is one person, and that approach sucks in a 5-person run. If you need 3 votes out of 5, why are you targeting one person? And why are you following one person when the one person truly votes the way you like, but you're throwing daggers at everyone else? What are you, a professional relationship builder like that? No, you're never going to get what you want. I mean, if you walk through life just trying to piss the other 4 off, why would they even want to consider your thought process? And we've had commissioners that have listened to both sides. They were involved in the groups, and we had our frustrations from the even the organizational side. Is that we had some really cool plans that we envisioned for Northport. None of those came to fruition. They were awesome when we were all talking about them, like the reversal of Coco Plum and opening the waterway and doing all the fantastic things. But it was frustrating at the most. And
well, commissioners change, but staff doesn't. They outlive commissioners. So the culture,
even the builders, Benderson didn't do us any favors with that either, because
look, the builder doesn't have to do you any favors. That's not their job.
I know
their
that.
job is to make money. Okay, so but the city, their job is to demand what the residents are looking for. Here's what we need. Instead, 30% of our city is in parks or environmentally sensitive land, so that's off the tax revenues. Okay, the properties we do have that can generate revenue don't. I sent you the document that staff submitted that showed, and this is going back probably 5 years ago, that Warm Mineral Springs is losing $1 million, right? I posted that on Facebook. It's BS. So where are the commissioners that are fighting for something? And I don't want to hear code. I'm tired of listening to ULDC code, because ULDC code, we have been talking about changing that. I've been here since 1993. I would say they started talking about that in 1995. And we're still talking about it. Code doesn't mean squat. If somebody wants to come into the city and build a major job creating, high paying job creating building that is in robotics, I don't know, pick something. Okay.
How about the hospital
hub? And they say, this is what we want, but you got to change some of that code. Would you change it? Absolutely. People don't understand. It doesn't matter what the code is. Developers come in, sign companies come in, anybody that has to do with the commercial structure and applies for a variance. Homeowners can come in and apply for a variance. And many times they get it approved. So why don't you just create the core structure, get it over with, just do it and be done with it, and then start focusing on showing people what you want and going out and finding developers that will build it for you.
Isn't the hospital a good example of what's going to happen?
I feel more comfortable if, the hospital is going to come, but what's going to happen around it? And I don't see anybody talking about that. I don't see one person in staff or commissioner who's up there saying, here's what we want. With the EDC, we said what we want to create is a telemedicine center. Okay, so we had identified specific targets and the individuals that run those targets. And those are the people we were having conversations with. We wanted to see a teaching hospital. We had conversations with Shands. Shands was interested in coming to Northport. We had the right connections to bring those people to us. And those create other opportunities. You know, the what you look for is a catalyst that stimulates economic metabolism. And the hospital is the catalyst, but what's going to happen around it? Why isn't Sarasota Memorial Hospital sitting at the Economic Development Advisory Board table talking about what things you would like that we want to see there? They've got the connections. Are they going to bring in radiology centers? Are they going to bring in lung people? Are they going to bring in heart? What are they going to bring with them? If it's just a freestanding building, and as we always do in Northport, the marketplace will drive it. So we get built the way the marketplace wants us to be built. We're not being built the way the city wants it to be built, or the people want it to be built. How do I know that? Because I've never seen anything that says what it is.
Well, let's go back here, though, because we actually have proof. 2 exits north. 3 exits north. 3 exits north, we have proof. We have Laurel Road. When the hospital went in there, it's literally changed that whole corner with all of the new doctors' offices that have now been built there. It's that whole sector is changing, and it's changing. A lot of people would say it's not fast enough, but it's pretty daggone fast when you look at how long the hospital's been there, and the fact that they built it too small to begin with. They've already had to enlarge it.
Yeah, why are they building a hospital on that property when my understanding of that surrounding property, those 3 corners of I-75 in Sumter are wetlands. I don't think you can even build there. Why aren't they building it on the Toledo Blade where Lee's property is? He's got 250 acres. Why aren't we putting a hospital there where we can get expansion and it can grow? That's where the hospital belongs, not on Sumter, but nobody stands up.
I'm not sure it's not going to be looked at. I'm not sure that's not going to be looked at because of the flood.
I have no confidence anymore, John. I'm telling you, I've lost it. My confidence level is really declined. You present plans and ideas to the city and they go, and then you see them do things that make absolutely no sense. More light industrial warehousing. You know, back when I moved here, I would say probably around 95, 97, the Committee of 100 came and spoke to us about the future that they see for Northport. And guess what it was? Light industrial warehousing. And I said, so if I got this right, you guys want to make Northport the lawnmower repair capital of the world. That's not jobs. You're not creating any jobs. You're 1- and 2-man shops. That's what we build. We don't have big employers in here. Because we don't even have the large tracts of lands, and the ones we do, we give away. There's a piece of property on Price and Biscayne. I don't know how many acres it is. It's a church that didn't even build anything yet. Why are we allowing more churches to buy acreage when churches don't pay taxes? We don't need that. Somebody's got to get the goulions, as we say in Italian, and say, no more. We got enough. Well, then we're going to sue you. Go ahead and sue us. We can't afford people who come in and don't pay taxes. We can't afford more parks. But we're doing it. Warm Mineral Springs, God bless them. You just gave away 20 acres of taxable revenue is now non-taxable. It's going to be a park.
Scary when you say all these things out loud. You kind of have to step back and realize that, you know, we've even changed our look of what we do with trees, and people are upset about the clear cut. Well, they're paying for that now. That's why we have a whole nother department at City Hall. is there's a tree tax. It's just a tree removal tax, is all it is. So we are getting compensated as a city now for the clearing of all those lots, but it hasn't. I dare say, how many trees has it saved?
Here's a simple projection. Ask the city, ask staff to do this. For the next 15 years, 20 years, what is the tax projections for the city of Northport? And what are the revenue projections? And, everybody says you can't raise your property tax more than 3%. That's only the state and county and city. That's the part that can't raise more. I can raise police department 100%. I can raise fire 100%. I can put more taxes on the city than I care to shake a fist at. The school board does it. They keep raising the taxes. That's not governed by a reduction, okay, by a percentage, like our ad valorem is. So when you say that, what is going to happen? I'd like to see that projection. You're giving away all the land. You're putting it into non-revenue producing boxes. So who's left with paying the rest of these bills? Now, unless you figured out a way, staff, to keep the cost of what they are today the same 20 years from now, then maybe we've got something to talk about.
Yeah, but I
what
don't
do
know
you
how
project?
we would never be able to do that.
No, I doubt they would give you that projection, because if they did, you're going to be losing money. And when you're losing money, the only thing they can do is raise taxes, and they call them different things. They call them fees, whatever. Instead of 2 garbage pickups a year that you can get for junk, you'll only get 0. And each time you want it, you'll pay for that. You'll pay for this, and government will nickel and dime you to death.
Well, I got some really big shows coming up with the city managers or the city manager and staff, and we're going to be really delving into the properties and the mixed use status, and really trying to educate the public. I'm hoping you'll watch and throw your comments in there too, Peter. But the biggest thing is the comments that you as citizens and listeners out there, the ideas that you have, the thoughts for potential shows, the thoughts for potential conversations that you want from the city, from your representation. Even I'm gonna go this far. When I have the commissioners on, I really want to go in there and dive in this year, and they know it. They want to be on the show. That's the whole thing. Is there's no one saying no to the opportunity about being part of this. Now we as citizens have to get constructive on the other side of it.
No, but the city doesn't say no. The city just doesn't respond. Let me ask you this. There's a guy, if you look up Sarasota, they just hired, again, I think his name is Andrew Dwayne. He's an architect. And if I'm not mistaken, he's the same architect that was hired by the city of Punta Gorda following Hurricane Charlie to put their vision together.
Okay.
The fee back in that day, what I understand it was and this is in 2004, for Punta Gorda, I think it was $250,000. Okay. Now the residents raised that money. Okay. Now they have some big players over there. City of Sarasota has the same guy. Who does Northport have for doing their planning? Kimberly Horn. Kimberly Horn is not an architect. They're a land use company. So what do we get back? Code. An architect gives you a vision. Then you build the code to support that vision. When's the last time Northport invested in a dreamer to really envision Northport? Sid Kitson.
Have we ever?
We've never done that. Sid Kitson, when he built Babcock Ranch, it was all visuals. He had meetings with the people. He didn't ask them what they wanted. He said, "This is what you're getting, and how do we enhance it?" And he had the people's input on his plan. We go in. Kimberly Horn knows how to do this, and I love Kimberly Horn. They're a great company, but they're not the company to put together a vision. They always do the same thing. Okay, everybody, take out your little your little sticker notes and write down what you want, and let's put them into categories. And that's their planning. Then they come back and they tell us where the people put their ideas about what they want.
Did Sid use them when he envisioned what he's got today?
Sid used Kimberly Horn and Stantec for developing the plan, not the vision. He had architects do the vision.
Oh, wow. I just realized I literally am 5 minutes over, Peter.
Well,
Holy
I'm sorry.
cow.
I'm
sorry. I just looked. It's 4:00. I'm like,
we should
So
have this. I'm on again at the end of this month. Let's plan on talking about the downtown, the entertainment district.
Absolutely.
Let's get some copies of it available. You've got it. Put it on your site, and let's have people get on and talk about it, the pros, the cons, what they like, what they don't. Ask the city staff to get on and
Absolutely.
tell us why they can't do this.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining in. This is John Rawlings with WKDW Real Talk 97.5 saying we went right through 4:00, but thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay, bye-bye.